The silent world, the galaxy had forgotten Earth. After the Great Silence, no signals came from the blue planet. No ships, no messages, no life signs. Scans showed nothing but broken cities, overgrown forests, and long dead satellites drifting in space. For most alien civilizations, Earth had become a ghost planet, a mystery left unsolved. The Council marked Earth as abandoned. Over time, traders and scavengers passed by, looking for old tech or hidden data. But no one dared land. There were stories, whispers. Some said Earth had destroyed itself in war. Others believed it had been wiped out by its own machines. The truth didn't matter anymore. Then the Varn came. The Varn were a cold, calculating species. They believed in logic, control, and expansion. To them, Earth was just a piece of land, a dead world that could be reshaped into a supply base. Their fleet arrived in orbit without fear. No resistance, no warnings. They landed near the ruins of an old city once called New York. They began building. Machines crawled across the ground, clearing metal and stone. Towers rose again, but not for humans. These were for the Varn. They planted command centers, fuel ports, and launch bays. It was easy. Too easy. 3 days passed. The fourth day, one of their patrols vanished. No trace, no signal. Just silence. At first, they thought it was a glitch. Equipment failure. The Varn commander sent another team to search. They didn't return either. Their last report was a whisper. Shadow, moving fast. Then nothing. Panic didn't set in. The Varn didn't panic, but they increased surveillance. More guards, more drones. They thought maybe an animal had survived, something from Earth's wild zones. They were wrong. On the 6th day, the attacks began. Not full battles, just disappearances. A Varn officer found with his armor torn. A tank exploded from inside. An energy tower melted. Always at night, always unseen. Now they were worried. On the 7th day, they found a message, carved into one of their walls. The words were in human standard. Old language, simple letters. You should have stayed away. That was impossible. The Varn had scanned the entire planet. There was no life, no humans, no heat signatures. Earth was dead. But the message was fresh. Just hours old. Cameras picked nothing up. Motion sensors were silent. The air was calm until it wasn't. The next night, one of their sky barges exploded, mid-air. Dozens died. A second message was found at the crash site. Earth remembers. That night, fear began to spread, even among the Varn. Back on the flagship, the commander studied the data again. Every record, every reading. He called his science officer and asked one question. Is it possible someone survived? The officer shook his head. No life forms detected, nothing human, sir. But someone is watching us, someone is killing us. The science officer had no answer. Far below, in the ruins, a man stood quietly in the shadow of a collapsed tower. He was thin but strong. Worn clothes, dark eyes, quiet breath. His skin was marked by time, dirt, and battle. Around him were old devices, silent, ancient tech now glowing again under his touch. He had survived the end. He had stayed hidden for years. And now, they had come. He looked up at the sky, at the ships above, and whispered softly, "They forgot Earth. But I remember." His hand reached for a switch buried in the ground. Old systems blinked, woke up, connected. In the silence, Earth began to hum again. The forgotten weapon. The hum grew louder underground. Old systems, buried deep under the ruins, began to stir. Lights flickered to life after decades. Machines groaned as power returned. Thick wires carried energy across broken walls and shattered streets. This wasn't just a power grid, it was a weapon, a defense network built in secret, long before Earth went silent. The man, known only as Reed to himself, moved with purpose. He wasn't a soldier anymore, but the instincts were still sharp. His fingers danced over cracked control panels, wiping off dust and ash. The bunker around him had been his home for years, hidden, sealed, alone. He had watched the stars. He had listened to the silence. And now, the silence was broken. The enemy had landed. Outside, the Varn were uneasy. More soldiers patrolled the area. Drones buzzed through the sky. Heat scanners swept every building, every pile of rubble. They didn't understand what was happening. Their technology was advanced, but not enough to see what was buried beneath their feet. Reed activated Sector 3 defenses. A satellite in low orbit blinked on, forgotten by the world. Its weapons were small, but fast. One beam sliced through a Varn supply ship as it tried to lift off. No warning, just fire. Panic spread. The Varn commander ordered a full lockdown. All work stopped, all units armed. The soldiers lined up in defense positions, expecting an army. But they saw no one. Still, their numbers dropped. Reed watched them on an old screen. His eyes cold, his voice low. You took my world. You thought it was dead. But Earth is never truly dead. We wait. We bleed. We return. He checked the old vault beside him. Inside were relics of Earth's last war. Plasma charges, micro-mines, stealth gear, ancient by galactic standards but still deadly, especially in the hands of someone who knew how to use them. He strapped on a vest, clipped the old rifle to his back, and pulled a dusty band around his arm. On it was a faded symbol, a cracked Earth inside a shield. Once, humanity had tried to join the stars peacefully, but the stars had turned their back. Reed opened the outer door and stepped into the night. Wind blew through the ruins. The sky above was filled with ships. Lights flickered in the distance. Alien. Lights. His boots moved quietly through the broken streets. The city was his now, and he was going to defend it. At the same time, high above, the Varn Council on the flagship argued. One elder demanded retreat. Another insisted on finding the hidden enemy. But the commander refused to show fear. We control the sky, he said. We have machines, weapons. This is one survivor, nothing more. But even he didn't believe it anymore. The attacks were too clean, too smart, too human. Meanwhile, Reed reached a relay station. Hidden in a sewer line. He connected a power cell and the old network connected to others. Stations buried all across the planet, each one connected to something larger, to a defense system that had never been fully used. Until now. On his screen, one word appeared. Awaken. Reed hesitated only a second, then pressed the command. In the mountains, a giant gate opened. In the desert, steel arms pushed out from the sand. Beneath the oceans, silent machines began to rise. Earth had built these in secret, long ago. Built them not to invade, but to survive. The Varn had no idea what was coming, and Reed was done waiting. Earth's awakening. The night sky flickered. From orbit, the Varn fleet watched strange movements on Earth's surface. Seismic activity rose in multiple zones, deserts, oceans, and mountains all showing sudden energy spikes. Their scans showed structures moving, massive ones. Something was rising, but it didn't make sense. Earth was supposed to be dead, silent, finished. Now it roared like a giant waking from deep sleep. On the ground, Reed stood at the center of a forgotten control hub. Around him, old lights blinked green. Status lines updated faster than he could read. Systems that had not activated in decades were now alive and ready. Each site was a relic from the final years of Earth's resistance. Each one was designed to act independently if the planet ever fell. Machines made to protect humanity's legacy. Not armies, not governments, just pure, cold defense. And Reed was the last key. He issued new orders. Activate Guardians. Seal. External gates. Target enemy ships near command centers. Old steel walls opened across the world. Machines the size of buildings emerged. Some walked on legs as tall as trees. Others hovered silently, powered by anti-grav plates hidden inside armored shells. They had no names, no faces, just numbers and purpose. Above, a Varn warship exploded, a blue beam shot from Earth's surface, cutting clean through its shield. The ship broke in two, crashing into the ocean. Panic swept the fleet. Orders were shouted. Fighters scrambled. But no one knew what to shoot at. Nothing showed on sensors. The machines below had shielding tech, ancient, raw, and forgotten by time. Made by human engineers who knew they wouldn't live to see victory, but built for those who would fight one day. That day had come. Inside the bunker, Reed watched the chaos unfold. He moved with confidence, tapping old command nodes and sending coded bursts to units he had never seen before. But he didn't need to. They were built to listen. To him. He left the bunker behind and walked through the broken city, toward the edge where the Varn had built their base. Lights glowed ahead, tall spires, ships, and machines. The air smelled of oil and fire. 2 drones passed overhead. He ducked into a collapsed shop, waited, then moved again. Quiet. Fast. He reached an old street where he had buried something. Years ago, he knelt, pulled away dirt and steel plates, and revealed a small metal case. Inside, a communicator, heavily modified. It was designed to broadcast only one signal, a signal the stars had not heard in a long time. He pressed the button. Across the galaxy, a ping echoed. Long-range systems deep in the void blinked. Ships sleeping in dark corners of space woke to a signal they hadn't received in over a century. Earth was calling. Reed spoke quietly into the mic. "This is Unit Alpha. Earth has been breached. If any human units are out there, return." Somewhere far beyond the stars, an old ship received the signal. Its engines stirred. Meanwhile, back on Earth, the Varn commander screamed into his comms. "Who is doing this? Where's the enemy?" No one had answers. And then, a voice came through. It was calm, cold, human. "You should have never come back." The voice came from every hacked Varn comm panel, every screen, every broadcast system. Then silence, and then the machines began to move. Not randomly, not wildly, but in formation. Toward the Varn. Machines of old fire again. Panic spread across the Varn ranks. One by one, screens inside their armored vehicles flickered. Static, then images. Images of Earth during its final wars. Cities in flames. Human soldiers making last stands. Massive machines rolling across wastelands, fighting enemies no one had seen in thousands of years. And then, the screens went black. Only a symbol remained. Cracked Earth inside a glowing ring. No Varn knew what it meant. But Reed did. It was the mark of Project Guardian, Earth's final shield. Far above, the Varn fleet reorganized. Fighters were deployed in groups, scanning every hill, every mountain. They fired at shadows, but nothing answered. Until now. A mechanical roar echoed through the valley. A colossus stepped out from behind a mountain ridge. Covered in rust and battle scars, its head slowly turned toward the Varn command base. It stood taller than any of their structures. Its chest opened, revealing a cannon chamber that hummed like a storm gathering inside a bottle. It locked onto the main tower and fired. The beam cut through 3 Varn ships in orbit, then drilled into the base. Explosions erupted. The tower collapsed within seconds. More machines followed. Some crawled like insects, fast, armored, silent. Others floated just above ground, using silent engines lost to modern science. All of them moved as one. Programmed with one purpose: remove invaders from Earth. Reed watched it unfold from the shadows. He had activated the Guardians, but now he needed to control them. These were not clean machines. They had no mercy. No off switch once the fight started. If he wasn't careful, they would turn the ruins into ash, including him. He moved to a nearby signal station, an old transport hub. He placed the manual control band on his wrist and uploaded his ID. The machine scanned his eyes, then beeped softly. Access granted. Human command confirmed. He was now the voice of Earth's last defense, and he wasn't done yet. On the Varn command. Ship, the leader was shaking. We must retreat, said one of the tacticians. No, the commander growled. We are Varn. We do not flee from primitives and dead worlds. But these aren't primitives, the tactician replied. And this world that's not dead, it was waiting. More alerts blinked. 6 more ships destroyed. A weapons platform beneath the sea was now firing into orbit, striking with precision. Their shields weren't strong enough. Their systems couldn't adapt fast enough. Still, they kept trying. In the air, Reed's voice echoed again across their comms. You didn't study our world. You assumed we were weak, forgotten, but Earth never forgets. On the ground, the Guardian units began surrounding the remaining Varn outposts. The invaders fired back, but their weapons barely scratched the hulls of the ancient machines. Some Varn screamed. Some ran. Most were silenced. And through it all, Reed walked calmly toward the main Varn relay post, rifle ready, watching the machines destroy everything that didn't belong. He didn't feel joy. He didn't feel revenge. Just purpose. Earth would be silent no more. The last voice of Earth, Reed stepped over the smoking wreckage of a Varn transport, his boots crunching glass and metal. The base ahead was crumbling. Fire burst from broken walls. A few alien soldiers ran for cover, but most had already fallen. The machines didn't hesitate, they didn't stop. Guardians marched through the city with mechanical precision. One swung its massive arm, knocking over a tower like it was made of paper. Another launched a missile into the sky, taking out a fleeing dropship before it reached orbit. But Reed's focus was on something else. The Varn had set up a central relay point, a command post linking all their systems. Communications, scans, even remote access to orbiting ships. If Reed could reach it, he could do more than just fight. He could end the invasion. He moved quickly, passing collapsed bridges and shattered drones. The Guardians ignored him. They recognized his signal. As long as he wore the control band, they would not harm him. Inside the ruined base, the lights flickered. A few Varn officers stood their ground, weapons ready. They aimed at Reed as he entered the central hallway. He didn't stop. One of them fired. The shot missed. Barely. Before the others could react, a Guardian unit behind Reed opened fire. A flash of red light, and the hallway fell silent again. Smoke curled from the walls. Reed reached the main console. The screen was cracked but functional. He sat down, placed the signal relay into the port, and watched as Earth's old tech began to override the alien systems. One by one, enemy ships blinked off the network. Reed brought up the fleet's formation in orbit. Dozens of ships, fighters, carriers, destroyers. He tapped a few keys, narrowed his eyes, and sent a single command. Trigger orbital overload. High above, the Varn ships received a silent pulse. At first, nothing happened. Then, one by one, their engines began to fail. One lost control and drifted into a satellite station. Another spiraled into the atmosphere, burning bright like a falling star. The flagship tried to turn, but its systems were frozen. Its captain screamed in rage as the sky around them filled with fire and broken metal. Back in the control room, Reed stood and removed the relay. The system had done its job. Earth had spoken. He stepped outside and looked up. The night sky, once filled with enemy lights, now glowed orange with wreckage. Pieces of ships fell like rain. The Guardians had already begun their shutdown sequence. Their purpose was complete. But something deep inside Reed told him this wasn't over. Not yet. He walked to a nearby ridge and placed a transmitter on the ground. With a tap, it opened a channel, a powerful one, reaching beyond Earth's atmosphere, through the black between stars. "This is Earth," he said simply, his voice steady. "We are not gone. We are not broken. We are not silent." He paused. "If you come to take, you will find fire. If you come to destroy, you will find ruin. But if you come to speak, Then speak. Because now, Earth listens. And then he ended the broadcast. Echoes across the stars. Reed's message didn't just disappear into the void. Across the galaxy it was heard. Hidden human colonies, quiet for generations, picked up the signal first. Some lived on moons in far systems. Others had gone underground, hiding after Earth's fall. They had children who had never seen the blue planet, elders who still whispered stories of Earth's final days. Now those stories had new meaning. They listened to Reed's voice and knew the truth. Earth had not died. It had endured. Somewhere in deep space, a human ship, coded only as Argon Unit 12, received the message. Its crew stared at the broadcast in silence. Their mission had always been to wait, to hide, to survive. But now their captain gave a new order. Plot a course to Earth, and they weren't alone. Other ships stirred. Human-built, rusty, slow, but armed. Carrying old warriors, new thinkers, and those who had waited for a sign. Earth's call had awakened more than machines. It had awakened hope. Back on Earth, Reed stood near a guardian, its metal surface glowing faintly as it powered. Down, all over the world, the machines were resting again, folding into the ground like sleeping giants. But not all of them. Reed had kept a few active. Scouts, sentinels, watchers. The world was still dangerous. Varn escape pods had crashed in remote areas. Survivors would try to regroup. He would find them. He moved toward the eastern ruins where one last Varn outpost had tried to hide. His rifle ready, his eyes sharp. The Guardians didn't follow. This part, he would handle himself. As he walked through the old subway tunnels, he remembered a time when Earth had been alive. People laughing, skies filled with light, cities buzzing. Now, only wind and ash remained. But that was okay. Earth had a chance to rebuild, this time better. He found the Varn huddled in an old station, 5 of them. Their weapons were gone. They were wounded, tired, beaten. One of them stepped forward, trembling, and raised his hands. "Why didn't you destroy us all?" the alien asked. Reed looked at him for a long time. "Because we were like you once," he said. "But we learned the price of pride." The Varn lowered his head. Reed turned and walked away. He didn't need revenge. Earth had spoken through strength. Now it was time to speak through control. He returned to his bunker that night, sat by the old console, and watched the stars. Small light blinked on the edge of the map. A ship was coming. Human signature. ETA. 6 days. He smiled faintly. After all these years, he would not be alone anymore. When the sky brought them home, 6 days passed. Reed spent them preparing. He cleared debris from the landing zone, reactivated a guidance beacon, and repaired the old satellite uplink so the incoming ship could dock safely. The machines, those that remained active, helped where needed. They didn't speak, didn't ask questions, they just worked. Earth was quiet now, no more explosions, no more enemy dropships. The wind moved through empty towers carrying dust, memories, and the faint hum of power slowly returning to the world. Reed stood atop a broken tower as the sun set on the 7th day. In the distance, a faint glow appeared in the sky. Then, movement. Human ship pierced through the clouds, its engines loud and proud. The hull was scratched, the design old, but it flew steady. Its markings were faded. But Reed saw the symbol. A blue Earth inside a golden ring. Humanity. Real. Alive. Returning. The ship slowed and hovered over the platform Reed had rebuilt. With a soft rumble, it landed. The ramp lowered, steam hissing from beneath the panels. Reed held his breath. And then, figures stepped out. 3 people. One tall man with dark gloves. A woman with a light pack slung over her shoulder. And between them, a younger figure, maybe no older than 20, with wide eyes looking around in awe. The young one spoke first. "This was Earth?" Reed nodded slowly. Still is. The older man stepped forward and saluted. Captain Dean, Terran Reserve. We picked up your signal. No one believed it at first. People never do, Reed replied, smiling slightly. The woman scanned the ruins, then turned to Reed. You survived. This alone? Reed looked at the sky. I wasn't alone, he said quietly. Earth remembers. So did I. The crew stood silent for a moment. Then Captain Dean spoke again. You're not just a survivor. You're the voice that brought us home. Reed didn't know what to say. He had lived so long with silence, shadows, and machines. Now, for the first time in years, there were people. Real people. And Earth, his Earth, was no longer forgotten. The younger one stepped forward, holding out a small flag. It was new, stitched with stars around Earth's image. We made this, they said. For when we returned, Reed took it slowly and nodded. Together, they placed it near the old command center where Guardians once stood watch. The wind caught the fabric. It fluttered proudly in the light. Far above, more ships appeared, distant dots heading toward Earth. Not invaders. Not enemies, humans coming home.